Do you want to create a stunning St. Patrick's Day decor with just paper and your Cricut? Today I'm making a 3D Celtic shadow box featuring this intricate knot design from Creative Fabrica. Using layers of Recollections cardstock, I'll walk you through every step, from cutting the pieces to assembling a dimensional work of art. Whether you're new to shadow boxes or looking for a unique holiday project, this one is easier than it looks. Hey everyone, it's Lean from coloradolean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. Before we dive into Cricut Design Space, it's important to ensure we have the correct size for our cut file. Although these 3D shadow boxes that I picked up from Michael's are labeled as 8 by 8, it's always a good idea to measure the dimension yourself to be absolutely certain. As the old saying goes, measure twice, cut once. Let's go ahead and turn this over. There are two ways that we could measure this. The first way, we could just measure our backer board. It would give us a pretty accurate idea of the size. What I like to do is measure the inside of my frame. So I will take my tape measure, place it up against the side of the frame, and then pull it across. This shows it is just a little shy of 8 inches wide. Let's do it again on this side. And again, we are just shy of 8 inches. So if we cut our Celtic knot at 8 inches by 8 inches, it will fit in our frame perfectly. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Cricut Design Space and start talking about our design. So before we head into Cricut Design Space, I just want to point one little thing out. After you download the Clover Celtic Knot 3D Shadow Box SVG from Creative Fabrica, you'll notice that each layer is in a separate folder. When you open up those folders, you will find multiple file options to use, SVG, PNG, and so forth. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when you are uploading your files into Cricut Design Space. Now that we're in Cricut Design Space, I already have my files uploaded. So we'll go ahead and open Uploaded Images. To add our layers to the canvas, I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign. And then we'll close this out. And now we have all 4 layers on our canvas. So let's go ahead and highlight those, come to Edit, and let's align that center. Now we want to make sure that the file is the correct size for our shadow box. And if you'll recall, we measured ours at a little under 8 inches. You'll see here that this file is already 8 inches by 8 inches. If you did need to change that, then you'll want to make sure that your aspect ratio is locked, and then you can change it to any size you need. So let's go ahead and move that back to 8 inches. Now, of these 4 layers, the bottom layer is an 8-inch square. It would be very easy to cut this on the Cricut. However, I'm going to choose to cut this with my paper trimmer. So I'm going to highlight it and then open the Layers panel. And then I'm going to hide that particular layer. Now I'll go ahead and hit Make It. I will save my project, and I will save that to the cloud. I will be working on a 12 by 12 mat. So I will confirm that. And next I will select my accessory, which is the Cricut Explore Air 2. For my material, I'm going to choose cardstock for intricate cuts. I find that works really well with the Recollections 65-pound card, and I will keep the default pressure. All right, let's go ahead and load up our mats, get it run through the Cricut, and I will be back with you shortly. Here is our last layer. So the best way to remove cardstock, anything from your Cricut mats, is to turn it upside down and peel the mat away from your material. You do want to be extra careful when working with cardstock because it is very delicate. And there we go. If you don't do a lot of cardstock projects, let me just show you a little trick to get all of this cleaned off your mat. You will need a scraper. The larger the project, the larger the scraper, unless you want to be there for a while. And then you just run it along your project like that. And it removes your cardstock. And just like that, your mat is clean and ready to put away. For my very last layer, I am going to bring in my Tim Holtz and Tonic Studio Rotary paper trimmer. And I'm going to cut this piece down to 8 inches by 8 inches. And there is our finished design. I think this is really, really pretty. I'm not much of a green person. However, for St. Patrick's Day, we can do green. There are a couple of ways that you could adhere your layers together. You could very easily glue them all together flat, and that would be a very pretty design. Or you could use foam adhesive to have some distance between each of your layers. I have 2 different sizes and types of foam adhesive dots that I could use. This small one is from Recollections. They are foam adhesive mini circles. The larger ones could also be Recollections. I'm not sure. I haven't bought foam dots in a long time. I think for this project, though, I'm just going to use the mini dots. And to line these up and make sure we get them stacked and glued in the correct order without adhesive showing through, I'm going to turn the entire stack over. And I'm also going to line up each layer inside my 3D frame. So I will put my first layer down, and I will set that aside for a moment. This is the back of my next layer. So I can go ahead and place my foam dots on here. And even though these are small, they're going to be too large for this center design. And I do want a few pieces in here to make sure the entire thing is popped up. So I am just going to cut some strips from the edge of this. Let me get out my little Tim Holtz pokey tool. And then this will help me layer things. Now that one's a little wide, so we'll put that one down here. All right, I have foam tape on here. And I did have to look at the original design because while I was putting the foam tape on, I noticed that this side does not have this little cut line here. So I wanted to make sure I had that in the right place, and that does go on this side. So I will turn this over and I will fit that in and just tap that down just a little bit. There's nothing supporting the center. So as long as I get it attached on this side, that will hold just fine until I have the entire thing done, and then I can take it out and make sure my center pieces are pressed down. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off here because that's going to be boring watching me do that. And I will get my last 2 layers taped up and put into place, and I'll be right back with you. I am so happy with how this 3D Celtic shadow box turned out. There are a few things I might do differently next time, like placing the image on top of the frame spacer and adding foam between each layer. Since the entire piece gets a little squished when I put the back on the frame, I might try cutting these pieces to fit inside that spacer instead. Other than that, I love the final result. You can see close-up photos over on the corresponding blog post at coloradolean.com. You know, as an afterthought, since none of the cardstock is permanently attached to the frame, I could very easily swap out this design for different seasons. This might just become a year-round decor piece. If you enjoyed this project, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more creative tutorials. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Would you make a shadow box like this? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.